whole meeting thing. All right, are we live? We're good on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody can check. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, welcome everyone to the April, May, June. So close, April Academy Lafayette Board of Directors meeting. So welcome everyone online. Those here, thanks for being here. Just a quick reminder to those in the audience, not very many of you, so that's good, but just the reminder that this meeting is for the board to conduct its business. And so any public comments outside of planned stakeholder comments or planned presentations isn't on the agenda. So we just ask that everyone hold any comments until the next designated stakeholder comment period at a future meeting, just to ensure fairness and allow the board to follow the agenda. So I've said the official stuff. On the agenda, we do have an update to the agenda before we approve it. Dr. Boyd will present the sponsor evaluation, and we'll also go to the admission of employee children who reside outside of the district. So with those changes, can I get a motion to approve tonight's amended agenda?
So moved. Second.
Everyone, any discussion? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. No stakeholder comments, so now a motion to approve the March 10th meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Well, let's jump in.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so Dr. Boyd will pull up your presentation for you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So sorry I could not be there in person, but luckily this is a very positive sponsor evaluation findings report for you all. But I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have as we walk through the document. All right, am I coming through okay on the sound?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
Do you
All right.
do you have the document now on your computer?
I do. Yep, I can see it.
I was trying to allow you to share it directly so that you can monitor the flow.
Okay, do you want me to share my screen, or I think we can just click along if that's okay with you, Mr. Bang.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, thank you. So this is the evaluation from the last school year. I'll run through the executive summary so that we know all of the findings to begin with, and then we'll walk through them quickly by standard area, and I'm happy to take questions. The part that we'll do in most detail is about the academic success of the school. So thank you. We can go ahead to the next slide. So you can see there are 5 standard areas where we review. So there's a ton of information that goes into this between myself, Dr. Sanders, Mr. Mbang, and Ms. Markham. There's tons of information that we put into this, but it comes out into these high level 5 standards of academic achievement, curriculum instruction, operations and compliance, budget and finance, and then governance. And you can see you all have met all of the expectations in our performance framework contract. And just a note that you exceeded your academic proficiency goals from anywhere from 15 to 37% above what was expected. And I want to say, too, that this is especially pleasing because everybody's scores improved. The KCPS district scores improved. And then Academy Lafayette's scores improved slightly more than KCPS did. So I think this one was very pleasant to review and seeing all the success all around. Right, so next slide. For academic achievement, first we'll go through proficient and advanced scores. So the goal here is for Academy Lafayette to outperform the district in which it's located by 1.25%. So you can see here on the first one for ELA, KCPS, overall, the whole district got 25.4% proficiency on average. We multiply that by 1.25, and then that gives the number that Academy Lafayette is trying to beat, which is 31.8. In ELA, overall, the district average was 64.1 for Academy Lafayette, so you exceeded that goal by 32.3%. Yes, excellent job, excellent work, everyone. So now that you understand the process, I won't walk through each calculation, but if anybody has a question, feel free to let me know. For math, so then we do subgroups, sorry. So this is overall for the whole school. And then we look at the student subgroup 2 to make sure that everybody in every category is growing. And so for ELA subgroup, and subgroup students are essentially students who some may refer to as students who are in the minority, students who receive free and reduced lunch, those types of students. So the score to beat there was 25.4%, and Academy Lafayette those students in the subgroup scored 42.3% proficiency in ELA. And so Academy Lafayette exceeded that goal by 16.9%. It is important to note here that there continues to be a performance gap between all students and subgroup students, but Academy Lafayette is very much headed in the right direction with both groups. All right, next slide, please. For math overall, we exceeded, I keep saying we because I want to be with you guys so much because y'all are so great. So Academy Lafayette exceeded the goal by 35.1% for math in the overall all students group, and then 15.4% for the student subgroup. All right, and then next slide, please. For science, for overall, Academy Lafayette exceeded the expected score by 37.8%. And then for subgroup students by 16.8%. So very well done there. Next slide. The next one is for academic achievement. We just look at ELA and math growth. And the way we look at this is just to say, did students meet expected growth or not? And for both math and ELA, the majority of students met their expected growth. All right, next slide, please. For curriculum and instruction, we review documents to make sure that the curricula are aligned with standards, that teachers have the correct certification. Mr. Mbang and I spend a lot of time on that. And then that teacher evaluations are compliant with DESE regulations. And I'm sure as the staff can tell you at Academy Lafayette, the evaluations go above and beyond what is required by the state. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. Operations and compliance. You all are in compliance with state and federal laws related to all student groups. You are reporting data on time and accurately. You participate in the statewide assessment, which is the MAP assessment, and then you make your report card publicly available on your website, and I really appreciate you doing that in your required notifications webpage. So thank you for that. You met all of those standards. Next slide, please. Budget and finance. Thank you everyone for making sure that we get the ASBR complete, that your independent audit is handled and turned in prior to December 31st, and that you approve your annual budget by June 30th. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. Next slide. You sign off on your monthly check register. You review those statements. Those are also available on your financial reports are also available on your website. And you do a wonderful job of staying well above an 8% annual fund balance. So thank you for that. And then governance is our last standard. Board members are complying with their training. You all do a wonderful job of following the Open Meetings Act and the Sunshine Laws. Thank you for getting your background checks and your family and child safety registry checks done. And thank you for, hopefully you've met your ethics commission requirement for the previous year, and hopefully you'll also get that met for this year. I believe we're in that season right now. So if you've gotten your postcard, please make sure you complete that so we can have that met for our next evaluation as well. Next slide, please. And that delightfully is all. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'm more than happy to celebrate with you all for the great success you're having. And I appreciate you making this evaluation process seamless and an overall positive experience.
Wow. Congratulations to the school. Great. All right.
All right.
Any questions for Dr. Boyd?
No questions, but I do think it's really helpful to have such a thoughtful audit that you all do, looking at the processes and things going on, because we're obviously not here on a daily basis, so just appreciate having the opportunity to hear your perspective about how things are going.
Yeah, thank you. We all got to do this together, and I feel like I got the easy job. So.
And you showed up for EIP, which is also fun. So it's great to see you there.
Yes, I'm so excited about the report that comes from that. It was a great event. So thanks so much.
All right. Board election update?
For election this time, we only have one candidate that you already met. So we had only one candidate who was interviewed by the Conseil d'École last Thursday. The three parents made the recommendation to move him forward. Because you have only one candidate, my question is, do we need a general election if the board would like to look at his resume and next board member, they may decide yes or no. So it's something that I don't remember having it in the past. Last year we had three candidates. And then year past we've had at least three or more. Sometimes we have 6 candidates, but this time we have only one.
So that's what the parents elect.
Yeah.
Dana, do we need to have an election since it's a parent-elect, even if there's just one candidate that's been brought forward?
They have, you have to elect them. You
Okay.
still need to go through the process. And obviously, you don't have candidates, but they can't just walk on. You have to have something.
But can the board
The
just
board
elect it,
vote-
or should the parents, should it still go out to the parents since it's a
Oh.
parent-elect
Oh,
position?
I see.
Yeah.
You all don't elect them, the parents.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
The parent elects them, but the board will approve it after. There's the process of board voting to bid them.
yeah, I think you still have to vote. You have
Okay.
to have the vote.
Okay.
What is the vote? Because usually it's you select 1 and 2 candidates, but it's just, is it a yes or no? I mean.
Yeah, I think it's a
Well,
yes.
here's the thing, if the person gets one vote,
They
then we.
win.
Yeah,
It's
so,
over.
yeah, so they get, he, or is it a?
He.
He needs to
So vote for himself.
That would be like, I don't know how you explain that to the family at Thanksgiving, so. Yeah, so it needs to be something other than what he won by default.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
The bylaws say be
Affirmative
elected by
action.
parents,
Right.
so he has to be elected by parents.
okay.
But he is, I do think sharing his resume and sort of what he's submitted for the board to review.
It is in the board folder.
Oh, it is? I didn't see that.
I didn't see it.
I did it today.
Oh, okay.
I realized
I was
it's
like, I didn't see that.
it's the one candidate. I said, hey, let me add it there for the board member.
So who is he?
Huh?
Who's the
Brad Levis.
Greg Lewis.
Lewis. He had two kids who graduated, another one also.
Two younger, I think.
Two young,
Still here.
two young here and two girls, two older.
Has a technology background, I think is passionate about the school. He ran the AV for EIP, so if you saw anybody running around trying to do the AV stuff, he did that. So he's been involved in the school in lots of different ways.
And he works with schools too. He used to work with schools too.
What do you think was different about we only got one applicant this time? What do you think was different of why we only got one applicant this time?
The parents think that the board is boring, maybe.
That's always the case. Well, good. I didn't know like if the call was
Because I'm
short.
sure there was issues, something people will try to get involved,
So it's calm.
but yeah, I mean, the way you see it is, we used to have a lot of, parents from here coming to attend. We don't have any more parents. I have not, I don't remember having, maybe it's because of the online now, people know everything. But we used to have parents coming to attend the board meeting, but we don't have it anymore.
I've wondered,
When is the last time we have a stakeholder comment?
yeah, it's been
So I don't,
before the holidays. But I've also wondered, because I think we've shared more information about kind of the duties and the obligation, and it is a time commitment, as you all know, and so I don't know if that contributes to it. I don't know if it's, I've heard that engagement is lower, like not just in Kansas City, not just our school, not just Kansas City, but overall.
parents'
Parent.
Yeah, parent engagement and things like that is lower, but I don't know, it's interesting.
I also think, the goal of the parent-elect is to make sure we have parent voice represented at the table, and we have lots of parent, right?
Yes,
Like,
that's
we
true.
don't have a shortage, and we don't struggle with parent voice, so yeah, I don't think it's necessarily
Yeah. But it is interesting,
right.
yeah.
yeah, it's first time. We have this.
Does it bring specific value to have a parent-elect as opposed to, as you said, there's plenty of parents on the board already, so is it necessary to have a parent-elect?
No, I
That's a
I
great
think
question.
we added a parent-elect based on my recollection, but I'm curious what you would say. It used to be the board was all parents, right? And so we made a purposeful effort to ensure we have community voice at the table as well, and put the parent-elect position into the bylaws to say we always want to have parent voice at the table. But it hasn't ever been a struggle to have parent voice at the table, so I don't know that it still adds value, right? I don't know that it's still necessary.
Let's hear the historian who
Right, yeah.
who really contributed to putting the parent on the board in this election.
Oh, is this you?
What's the
Early on, she's like early on.
What's the
You want a
background?
parent-elect? You want a
Before we
parent-elect?
were all
it's not
here,
Carolyn,
it's like,
but
what?
before you all came aboard.
Right.
It's a long time, yeah.
I know, Pat is blaming me. You can do that,
It's your fault.
but I think we've outgrown it.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I think it
It's
should
right at the
be explored.
beginning now, and back then, we're probably the only.
Yeah, can we take it out?
And, I think there is value in parents serving longer term as opposed to, right, they're elected for 3 years, and ideally.
No, they're
right,
elected
we
for
have-
2 years. The
I
parent
think
elect.
They did switch it to 3 years.
Oh, okay.
It is
okay.
3 years
Okay.
now.
Years staggered.
But I think it's more helpful to invite current parents to stay, right? Like, to serve more than one.
Also identify parents in the community that bring specific skill that would be useful,
Yeah.
as opposed to randomly elected parents.
Right,
Right.
yes. So I think we might have outgrown it, is my.
I think we've
personal-
outgrown it, that's my thought. But
Yeah.
So do we-
I like hybrid, but that's fine.
you like pain.
No, I think we have to ensure.
The regular school district board and also the other part, I think we're the only one doing it, but
We are.
it's up to you.
Doesn't need to be decided tonight,
Okay.
but should be.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward for an election with parents vote for one candidate.
Do we want to discuss that like at the next board meeting? Do you want to discuss it in governance and then governance brings a recommendation together? How do you want
Yes, we could talk about it in governance and then bring a recommendation to the
to the
board.
next meeting? Okay.
Okay, thank you. The next one is about admitting children of staff residing outside the district. So I have had, I mean, if you remember, I don't know as you can remember, years ago, some teachers wanted to have that. And then they put a little bit to see if you can change the law in Jeff City. So I look at our new bylaws from, we had made it, we adopted a year ago. I found this part. However, now I'm asking myself, the bylaw, because this bylaw was supposed to be, I mean, we look at it and change things that move forward. I'm seeing is this for regular school board and different from charter school. Now, what I did was I asked Noah, the director, executive director of the association, to give us advice about this. He shared with the lawyer, the legal counsel of the association. He said, no, it doesn't apply to charter school. He thought that this is for regular district. And I went also to DESI. I met with the DESI representative here in Kansas City. I had a meeting at the Union Station, and I asked him about it. He said, no, it really depends on your board. It's every board to decide. So another thing. And then I asked also charter schools whether or not they do it. At this point, they're the only one who said they do it. Now, what I don't know if they do it, because outside students can be admitted, but they should be paying tuition. Mm-hmm. If a parent living in Parkville, I think in Woodbury, Parkville, or anywhere, want to bring the kids here,
Or Kansas.
they can pay tuition to be here. But what I don't know is, as you see here at the end, it say such student will be considered as resident student for purposes of state aid. So I don't know if we do it, we'll still be paid by the state or not. Mm. So I said I'll bring it here and we'll continue the investigation well, I mean I'll call also the charter school person at DESI, because I think we have a few teachers who really want to have the kids here and leave it outside.
So great.
Does that include, is there a lot of kids involved?
At this point, 3.
Three.
Yeah.
Is it for next year? Is that what they're thinking?
For next year and following, we have another one. I mean, we still have teachers who otherwise would bring their kids here anyway.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, many of our teachers live in the center area, because having a house in Kansas City was more expensive. Mm-hmm. So if they bought houses there, so they go to center schools. So instead of being, because for them, they couldn't come here. So I don't know if it will change things. Probably yes, if it's a high school. But I don't know whether or not it will be paid by DESI, or it's just like tuition. But I don't know what it means by the purpose of state heads. Maybe teachers still will be paid. So that's why I want to share with you, because I told teachers that I'm working on this issue, and hopefully in the month or so we'll be able to find a solution.
And is tuition the 4-for-1 amount, or is it whatever we're going to charge?
Whatever is being charged.
So we can charge $50 tuition?
No, you can't do it by one, person by person. It should be setting a tuition. If Blue Valley still want to come here, how much would be charged them?
Oh, I see.
So I think it might be the funding formula we receive.
Yeah.
Doesn't the state put a figure on that already? So, if a family is caught attending school in a district that's not their own, they can get a fine. Isn't that essentially the dollar figure of the benefit that the family has received? So wouldn't we just make that our tuition cost?
If a child lives, let's say if there's an unaccredited district and the kids want to move here, it's allowed, the district will be paying. The house, the original district will be paying for that thing, because they're receiving the money there and paid here. So, but we have never done it yet. Maybe it's an area to investigate exactly. We don't need it. We have no case. We have 0 case of tuition, student paying tuition.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that you will, remember and then we can continue and see whether, I know regular school district, they can do it. Charter schools, according to the Charter School Association, legal counsel, that will apply to us. So according to the DC representative over there that oversees charter schools, they're going to every board like this, board policy. So according to one charter school, they're doing it. They're asking for, so.
And we could set tuition at $0. We don't have to make it higher.
But you're wasting money because you're giving them all the things for zero. That's the issue also.
So this is not limited though to students of district teachers.
Right, it could apply to anybody.
No, the tuition will apply to everybody. But admitting teachers as resident, the question as resident, meaning, what I'm interested in is whether if you admit a student from a teacher, of a teacher living somewhere else,
Right.
can we be paid by this?
I got that.
That's the question I'm trying to say. Can we be paid by this?
And then as a board, we can still decide to say, well, we may not get paid, but we still decide.
Right,
that
that's what I was-
The kids, that for free, and because we need to.
That way we don't
it's a
make
benefit.
teacher pay,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I was.
Maintain.
So, and then whether or not you can, my question is, can you do that?
Tuition free.
Because you're setting a tuition for everybody.
Right, but we say, the tuition for everybody is $15,000.
Yeah.
But for teachers of
For
school
TPAs.
or non-residents, we said an
A much
exemption
lower.
with a zero tuition,
Yes.
even if the state doesn't pay us back. You know.
Okay, you can change the bylaw and put it there, that's the problem.
Yeah,
And then would you still give,
That's how to buy it on.
that doesn't sound.
That'd be a policy.
Policy.
Okay.
No, so not bylaw, sorry, I'm not,
Yeah.
not bylaw. Policy, yes.
and so would there,
Treat it as a benefit.
oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Would they, where would they rank like in the lottery? Would they be an automatic in taking a seat, or would they be if seats aren't filled?
Yeah, that's why one of the things that we need to look into that
Yeah.
and see what it means, because,
But we don't know if we can do it yet.
yes.
Right.
I just want to.
So then maybe we, yeah.
That's number one.
I just want to, I will get back to the association and ask again. And maybe go to all the way to the Office of Charter School. Maybe they know exactly what to do.
You can do it.
It's something we can't, yeah, the issue is
You
with Desi
confirm
County.
me, but a charter school can admit students that are out of the district and charge them tuition. You can do that.
Yes.
You can also admit teacher students, a teacher's child who's out of the district, and you can decide whether or not to charge tuition. You can do that.
That's all I knew.
The
what's-
The question is, of course, was Desi gonna pay, that's the only question.
Okay.
That's why you gotta get the money from somewhere because they're getting the benefit,
Yeah.
the cost.
So why say it's considered as resident here? That's usually because as resident.
Well, but that's
They be a resident for
for,
the district.
this is one of those policies that you all have still on the books that should be pulled because it's not a good, when you all bought the MICUS
Yeah.
group, this is for a traditional public school, not for a charter school.
Ah,
And that's what I'm trying to say that.
Yeah.
The association is what they say. But the DC guy here said, you can do it. You can put it on your back. So that's why probably it's interesting. The DC representative in Kansas City that oversees the charter schools, I talked to him, he said, it depends on your board policy, you can do it if your board policy says.
Yes.
Maybe he was thinking a regular district, but I told him it's charter school.
Well,
So-
if this is what we have, that's why he's saying that's what we have to do. So this policy should not be in your policy book.
That's what I was thinking. Whether or not it's going to be a regular school district or not. Should we change it or not? Okay. Thank
We
you.
have a very limited number of statutory requirements that are applicable to charter schools, and this is a statutory requirement that's not applicable.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. But if we approved it, then we're dancing, we accept this burden, you don't have to. And you all voted when you took Mitch's, part of your vote was if it's not applicable to us, pull it. So sometimes the things are.
Okay.
Right, so slips down.
So we might need to do a policy review. So I did put this in the board folder just today, the documents to review, so if everybody wants to look at it before, and then we'll wait to hear from you as to.
Okay.
I do think that's a good benefit for your teachers and a recruitment tool.
Yeah.
And this one's
Teacher
huge.
recruitment.
Yes.
Yeah, we lost teachers because of that. Of not, like,
No, I don't remember that. It's just that.
right, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's what
Sometimes I have encouraged teachers to move within the boundary because now, I mean, the house is a problem now, but a few years ago, I have seen teachers who made the conscious decision to move within the district.
Yeah.
And like others, decide now it's not working. Some teachers think also their kids should be, because they're francophone, they would like the kids to be in a regular American school to learn English, which I think is a mistake. So it's the whole discussion we have over and over again, that especially those who come from francophone, they think the kids, they understand the French, they should be learning English also to understand. But I'm telling them it's a mistake.
But it would be good to have the option for teachers to be able to.
So, okay, thank you.
I have a question on this, Ray, selfishly. Being part of the board, my kids can attend because we do live outside of the district requirements.
Yes.
Is that anything you would consider for like board members who also are affiliated with the school?
All right, then, asking for a friend.
It came up in a discussion earlier.
We have that.
I should have turned this way.
That was some conversation Tony and someone was having.
I'll tell my friend that's not allowed.
That's why I don't play poker.
Again, I've seen people, teachers who decide to move into the district with their kids.
Yeah.
Others who choose to stay outside to go outside. So at that time, my position at the time, but we were thinking to change the law. But I was telling people, if you are losing money, you better move here and get the money. But now, things are different. Thank you. So,
all right, accounts payable. Just some highlights here from the batch that was in the board folder. We talked about the Midwest bus sales. We paid them $136,000. That was a wire that went to them for 2 Thomas buses, and that's part of the comprehensive bus plan. So we've spent just about $262,000 for 3 new buses. We had budgeted $300,000, so we came in under budget there. Alliance Nationwide Title Agency, another transaction, $332,000. That was a cashier's check for the bus lot, also part of the comprehensive bus plan. We've got another slide here in just a minute that we'll flip to that shows the bus lot budget.
And Stephen was walking down the sidewalk with the briefcase with the cashier's check.
Denise Lawn Care Service, they were paid $18,000, almost $19,000. You remember the big snows that we had, the ice that we also had. They did the snow removal and then the ice melt application, so $20,000 for that. A little bit outside the ordinary than a normal winter season. Let me come back to that here in just a second, but I just wanted to highlight the bus lot budget versus actual. And so the original budget that we presented back in November, December this past year, we showed we had identified $452,000 for a bus lot acquisition. And preparation as well. We purchased the bus lot for $341,000. If you notice back 2 slides, it was $332, but we also put some escrow money down of $6,800, so that's why we got $341,000 that we spent. We also had an environmental study done of $1,500, so we still have about $100,000 left for the lot preparation, the fencing that still has to be finished, and the office building. There's a building located there, but we're prepping it for the bus folks to be in an office that's suitable for their needs. Any questions over the accounts payable transactions?
Stephen, I don't know much about normal school bus lots, but I saw that security, we're not.
We were thinking that with the original plan that we had a mobile unit, and we thought the mobile unit would have security already attached to it.
Got it.
And that's why we had $0 there in the original budget, but we'll have security at this place.
Cool.
So there's already actually, Bill Ireland has already been over there. We do have an alarm system on one of the buildings that has electricity.
Got it.
Hooked up. Electricity.
All right, so we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Finance report.
Oh, we're still hiring your transportation manager.
That's the plan.
Yes, this is the plan for next school year.
Next week,
Yeah, we'll start looking.
Finance report, financial statements, very high level for February. Cash in, cash out. The school received more than spent by about $190,000. And if we look at that year to date, July through February, the schools received more than spent by almost $1.7 million. The biggest driver there, again, I probably sound like a broken record, but the biggest driver there is the state funding. The amount that we budgeted was less than what we're actually being paid on, which is a good thing to an extent. So that's the reason for the receiving more than what we spent. Big reason there. Financial statements here. We talked about variances last month. One area that we focused in on was the transportation. And so on screen here is the profit and loss on transportation. And so you're looking at 8 months worth of activity. So budget of 8 months and then actual expenses of 8 months there, and the difference in the right-hand column. So revenues, if we're looking at an annualized budget and multiplying that by 8 months, that's about $200,000. We've actually received $277,000, so a little bit better than what we had budgeted. Some of that is the depreciation on the buses. The state actually gives us like a reimbursement for purchase of buses, something that we weren't necessarily expecting.
and it's ongoing.
Pardon?
Ongoing.
Yeah, I think, if it's my understanding, buses that are 5 years old or less, we get a reimbursement for.
That you own or
That you own.
purchase?
That we purchased.
But I mean, you don't purchase them that year, every year you own them.
Right.
Every year they do. On the expense side, if you notice there, the contracted transportation, we've spent $23,000 compared to what we budgeted $6,000. The difference there is we have some McKinney-Vento students that we're transporting that we weren't necessarily expecting to have to transport. And so that has cost some extra money there. McKinney-Vento, that's some homeless students that we're transporting, some needs there that need to be done. So that's one variance. If you also notice kind of in the middle there, insurance, we had budgeted $26,000, but we spent $76,000, so a $50,000 variance there. The main reason is the insurance company that we had last year no longer offers transportation, school transportation insurance, and so we had to go with a different carrier, and so that was just an unexpected over budget item. And then repairs and maintenance, Towards the bottom of the list there, we've spent $108,000 compared to budget of $76,000. So we're over budget through 8 months by $32,000. Now that's close to being over budget. We're about $4,000 close to the annual budget there. And so I've told Rick, I put him on notice saying, you need to be careful on repairs. And so he's on high alert on repairs there. And bottom line, or what you might say is with the total expenses, we're running about $15,000 over budget. I do expect that we will be over budget on expense by about $10,000 to $20,000. And the main reason there is with that, again, with the contracted transportation and then also insurance, which is an unknown. So, any questions over transportation or those variances?
Well, we had the opportunity to maybe shop around for other insurance providers. It's just a really big difference from budget to actual.
So we have a broker that helps shop that for us.
Okay.
And so they found the best service carrier for us.
Okay.
Good question.
Wait, why the previous insurance company got out of business?
Yeah, that's clearly why. Yeah, that is.
Good point.
I lost my clicking ability and removing the. There we go. Thank you. All right. So legal counsel's up for new contract.
Yes, thank you. You had to step out.
This way.
This is awkward.
So new contract for legal counsel. Fees will be locked in for 3 years. Last increase was back in 2022. The monthly flat fee is increasing from $2,800 to $3,600 per month. And then hourly rate, so extra billing, litigation matters, it's increasing from $295 to $335 per hour. This seems reasonable to me. I mean, just with most things, prices increase, and we haven't had an increase since 2022. We really think benefit from Dana's expertise. She serves us really well, and those are comments too from Michelle that we really benefit from her expertise and the relationships that she provides us. So I don't know if we need to have some kind of board vote on this, but just wanted to bring it here and let you know the contract was up.
Yeah, my understanding is we do not have to have an official vote, but we need to inform and just any discussion if anybody has any
I
thoughts.
also looked at the policy, we don't need to have competitive rates for highly qualified service professionals that provide value just beyond the monetary impact of what they're charging us. So be careful when you agree.
All right. So no objections to? Okay. All right. Somebody want to let her know she can come back?
If she dares.
And I'm just going to confirm with her, but I think she told me we just have to inform, not vote.
Yeah, she's in the room.
She's somewhere.
She's coming back.
She said, see ya.
Welcome back.
We were glad to inform you. We were glad.
Is this the person saying it's not you?
Next item is the New Markets tax credit. We all still refer to this as an MTC quite often. It's unwinding. And so just a little bit of some background there. The Armour building that we're in right now, it was a project that involved this New Markets tax credit transaction. It unwinds here in May, next month. It was part of a $7 million deal. And so at the end of this process, this unwinding, the school receives the Armour property and then forgiveness of $2 million in debt. But essentially, we still have some debt to refinance. And we have just about we'll call it $5 million worth of debt to refinance. We've had meetings with PNC Bank, attorneys, also financial institutions, and part of the closing documents, the attorneys were just asking who we want to have sign those documents. And Beth, you're technically on both boards. And so we recommend that we just have the one person sign those documents. And so Beth, if you would sign.
Volunteer, right?
Yeah, you've been.
I saw that in the notes, I was like, oh.
And so there's actually 3 closing dates. One that's on May 20th. I don't think we'll have to do anything with that. Then there's one that's for the CDE close, and that's on May 22nd. We might need a signature from you at that point. And then the fund interest on May 27th. So I would expect maybe 2 different days that we can coordinate. The refinance terms aren't finalized yet, but once we have those, we'll be passing those around. So more to come on that.
And do we feel like we have sort of the right real estate expertise to help us make sense of all of that, the options and what makes the most sense?
Yes, and really getting the process or the New Markets tax credit on the front end is so much more complicated than the unwind. They say that like all the unwinds are the same, whereas on the front end, all of the New Markets tax credit transactions are different. So this is more just exactly. Other financing. So aside from the GO bonds that just passed, Woohoo.
Right, yes, and let's take a moment there.
I don't want to steal the thunder though from
Yeah,
so but aside from those GO bonds that just passed, the school also has access to tax exempt bond financing. In other words, just debt financing essentially, and debt capacity for capital project needs. So it's an additional option to refinance our current debt, but also an additional option to finance the gap in our capital needs. And so we had identified we have $30 million in needs for capital, but obviously the GO bond only covers less than half of that. So there's still a deferred need there of about $16.4 million. And so we've been exploring an additional way to fund that, and that would be through tax-exempt bond financing. Last summer, Gilmore Bell had put on an informational talk about bond financing, and so this is just another way that the school could tap into funds to cover capital needs essentially. And so the difference though between tax-exempt bond financing and the GO bonds is the school would pay down some money, but it'd be over fixed rates, but it's like a loan. So whereas the GO bonds, it's just taxable.
And so because it's tax exempt, it's favorable for the investors, so the interest rates is low, essentially. So it's a loan with a low interest rate.
And at one time, we had talked about doing like a capital campaign, but because of the bond, like, is that no longer likely needed?
Well,
We don't know.
it'd be hard to go to our parents to ask again for capital campaign for the project. What we can still do is approach the foundation for funding certain things, like the bus transportation plan and different things that we can get paid by the foundation help. But with one person, it would be hard to, I mean, in my opinion, get to capital campaign next year. For that. So what we can do is part of it will be funding. We have already identified $3 million last time.
Can you speak up, Ms. Mbey?
Okay, I will. Sorry. Sorry. Can you hear me or no? Not
It's just
really?
Right,
There's
So,
something going on.
Thank you. What do I say? We identified here the board $3 million reserve fund that we're going to spend. So that money can be added to this 13.6 to the 16.6. So with the funding different things. Now on top of that, they still get a bond, tax exempt bond, supplement that. It's according to, judging from our financial projections, we can afford that. So it's a combination of the bond, and even if the bond did not pass, we're thinking that with the capital campaign, we three probably approach to funding it. Number one, the capital campaign. Number two, our reserve fund, and number three, some loan. That's what we did. That's what we did when we bought even here, or when we built the 6 classrooms at Cherry. And the secured interest. We had a capital campaign, we raised I think 3.5 billion, and then we did some, at the time we don't have any reserve, so we borrowed money to do that. So here also would be 13.6 plus maybe $3 million we put from our reserve, and then borrowing another some money. We probably would not be able to go on $30 million anyway, but our major projects like the roofs, the HVAC systems, the soccer field, the windows, at least we'll be able probably to fund that if we do the three sources of funding.
So just letting you know that we're exploring extra options to make sure we meet our capital needs that have been deferred.
But there's also some pretty large variance as to how much money we actually need. There's a lot of questions as to where we're going to go. So until that's settled, it's hard to assess how much money we really need. So once we know that charts path as to how we're going to fund it.
Yes.
I'm talking about the middle school building,
Yes. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll have a better idea how much we need to fund it. But at this point, in my opinion, starting the process of taxing them bond financing, get more information so that if we need to move forward. Because it's a long-term debt and we don't have to balloon or something like that. That's what I think. Ali, are you ready?
I'm ready. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool.
I'm like, it's just okay.
Oh, it's just okay? Is it better if I talk closer?
Actually, yes.
Okay, here's my face. Okay. So, I love this job a whole lot, but I really love it when I get to come in with a wonderful report to kind of wrap up the year. I'll have some final numbers for us next month when we get our final invoices for the Musketeer March and for Evening in Paris. But overall, it has been a wildly successful month for development and funds coming into the school from fundraising efforts. So I'll just start with the good news, and then I wanted to do a few thank yous. Sorry, this report is relatively crude. We've been very busy, and I forgot today was Monday and a board meeting, so I wanted to make sure though that everybody had some of this awesome news. So Musketeer March, our gross goal was $106,000. Our net was $75,000 for our goal. Our current total, and I believe fundraising efforts officially closed last Friday for our net profits, or our net earnings from this is $98,931. So we surpassed our net goal by more than $20,000, which is wild. We had a new contract with Booster this year, so our total percentage went down on what we pay them. So I am waiting to see what that new total is for the gross. But we are obviously surpassed our gross goal as well, knowing that we were $23,000 over our net. So thank you to Holly and Manon and Elise and the team for their hard work on that event. And thank you to all of our kids and their families for really making this a wonderful year. That's a fun event, and it was cool to see that that number just keeps growing. Next, just 3 days after that was the bond vote in Kansas City. So as you all know, the bond vote passed last Tuesday, a week ago yesterday, Kansas City passed these bonds by a staggering amount. It was like 85% of the voters voted yes for this. It was about 18,500 people. And as you know, AL from that bond passage gets $13.6 million. So thank you to our families. Thank you to the board members. Thank you to Kansas City for seeing the value in public education. I'm excited to see the growth of our schools and communities from this. And it's just a really exciting segue into what I'm calling our capstone of development events this year, which was the Evening in Paris. So this weekend, our total estimated gross from Evening in Paris is just about 145,000. Our goal gross was 130, so we surpassed that by almost 15,000. I will have total numbers for you on that coming up here soon, next month, but really just an awesome way to end a really wonderful year. So I just wanted to say thank you to our sponsors, to every parent and community member who has volunteered, who has donated, who has, really shown the value in our education and continuing the success of Academy Lafayette for any student to be able to access for years to come. So with that, I think I'm done this month, but thank you. Are there any questions?
No, just heard that Evening in Paris was amazing. Like everybody had a great
Oh, good. It was fun. Dr. Boyd, Dr. Sanders came. I saw Ed was in the room. He came. Pam was there. Gloria. Thank you.
Fantastic.
It was really fun. Beth was there. Yeah, thank you guys. It was really fun. I learned that I used to work with Beth's husband, so that was fun.
That's nice.
Small world.
It was. I was like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, so thank you all. It was great. Thank you for a good year.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I also looked at some stats that the bond had the highest voter turnout in the past 5 years, with the exception of last year, but that was the stadium.
Right,
So looking at normal years, highest, and also with less registered voters than this year than last as well. So we know our parents were a big part of those voting numbers. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. Yes.
Well, Allie, thank you for everything you do. I mean, I think that was a very busy month, so I'm glad that you're able to be at home. And yes, I can't imagine how many days you just had to work around the clock to make all of those things happen.
Yes, I know. Tonight I was losing my voice, and my husband couldn't. I was like, okay, I can be home tonight.
Yes.
Drinking my tea and staying out. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And just one more thing as well, I think there were also some pretty good feelings from KCPS. They're recognizing, you were mentioning at the time committee that they're recognizing that the charter school have been helping to pass the bond, and it's just like, and I think Dana is very always cautious about the relationship with KCPS. It sounds like it's one example where that's done in a positive impact in the relationship with each other.
Yeah.
That's a good development for us too.
Yeah, they understand that. I mean, 85% is like the whole community together.
Yeah.
That's what it shows that for us educators and school leaders,
Yes.
it's also an encouragement, but also we understand that we should use this money very responsibly, and then also deliver the kind of result that the community is waiting for our schools.
Right.
That's important to keep moving forward and keep providing better education. And I think that the visit that Michelle and I had at KCPS back then helped clear the way to an agreement with charter schools, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Great.
Lottery application. So this is just looking at the numbers of the number of seats offered and the demographic of the kids who are offered a seat. This is by ethnicity, and it's a comparison. The blue one is for next year, the red one is current year demographic. So you can see how it compared, and you can see it here even better for what we have here generally. So currently, for our kindergarten, according to last lottery, it was 40% minority. For the next year, it's going to be around 46% minority that we will have. So now, it's not the whole story, because after that, you have the decline. And unfortunately, according to, look at last year, there were more minority declining than and it's not equal. It's not equal. So we will know exactly the demographic for our kindergarten next school year, I'll say in September. That's what we have the right numbers, what we have. So, any questions?
Just that I know you all continue to sort of do recruitment throughout the summer, recognizing there will be numerous students who do decline the acceptance.
Yeah.
So I know that process continues.
We do that. We continue the process of recruitment. We had a school admin retreat back in late March, because we have an admin leadership retreat once at the end of each quarter. It's generally just look at our strategic plan, where are we, what we need to address, and are we on track now? And the March one was mainly on admissions and outreach, because as you know, throughout the country there is an issue of enrollment in public schools is diminishing, going down, and there is a lot of, it's since COVID. So Kansas City are projected, I think I shared with you last year also, they're projecting a decrease in kindergarten population in Kansas City, and we may be affected, and then they were projecting that we will be affected by that decline. So we wanted to, so at this point our enrollment overall continue to grow because the number one, the retention rate is higher than what we used to have, and I would say after COVID. That prior to COVID we had this kind of retention rate. That's what we have. We're trying to get back to pre-COVID retention rate would be great, and then also continue to attract students for kindergarten, first grade, and ninth grade. So we had a discussion about what kind of action plans we can think about, devise, and implement. So it was a good retreat, and all the ideas were shared with the admissions and outreach department to see how we can get the budget, because it's our biggest source of income. We need to really think like private school and like competition, like marketing and something like that, because of the nature of our population. Our competitors also are not only public schools, but also private schools. Because some of our parents have been to go to Barstow or Pembroke or somewhere, and they choose to be here. So we need to make sure that not only our minorities feel that sense of belonging, but also successful, but also our Caucasian populations and everybody feel that they have the environment. So that's something we need to work hard and make sure it's happening. Just like private school mentality running a public school.
So looking at those numbers, we were 211 last year. That just leaves about 170 kindergartners. That was before we the last day chapter, right? Is that the kind of drop off we can expect in terms of kids who actually show up?
What's the question?
So
yeah,
the number for 24-25 was 211. That with 211 applications, we end up with 170 and change.
At the average school start?
Yes.
180.
But that was before you made the last day chapter to get.
Yeah, last year was a tough one because the way the department was functioning, because we went from the enrollment rate this year coming to next year is higher I would say the decline rate is lower than last school year, so far. So normally, our projection was if you want to have 220 kids or 200 something, you need 300 applicants to get to 220. That was the most conservative part. That's what we were functioning with. So because we were thinking that 65% or 70% will turn out to come. We did that. So that's what we were thinking. Now, we need to understand that prior to our expansion, the school used to admit classes of 20 kindergarten. The board back then was capped to 20. So we had 6 kindergarten, 20 is 120. It's prior to the expansion and also prior to the funding issue, because we had a funding issue back then. We had to come up with a way to solve it. Now, if you want to go back to that standard, 120, we would be just fine, because what's mean is we need 180 kindergarten, which we had last year and before. But that has a huge implication later, because it will mean that we didn't think. So at this point, what we need to think about is we can still have that, but we need to be creative in terms of getting new students along the pipeline. Some schools do, I'm saying we do it, but I'm just informing that there have been some schools, even including French accredited school. I'm thinking of the Lycée Français in Los Angeles, who is a French accredited, the second French school in the nation, I'm saying, in terms of creation. It was created in 1965. New York was 40-something. But what they did was they have the normal route, but then they create a bilingual route, whatever it is, where they take kids in second grade and something and create a class for them to continue and to get back to the system later. So that's something they did, but that's complex. But again, we have to be creative, because once we start the process, we cannot take any more kids after first grade all the way to 9th grade. But thank God our attrition rate is very low, but we can't take anybody from outside. So that's what I'm trying to say. How do you, even taking 15 kids with different class where you have a first 80-20, 70-30, 50-50, all the way. I'm saying I'm just sharing that we may be creative in case we face with enrollment.
But we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
But so essentially with like 280 and we're on track for how many kids in kindergarten?
I think we'll get to 180.
You will get 180?
I think around 180.
So it's similar to this past year?
That's what we did last year. Last year we had 187 or 185. That's what we had. I think we'll get there.
With 180 would be 9K classes?
9, yes. We still have 9K. 9K for 20 kids per class. Yeah. But we want to be 200.
Yeah, no, of course.
So this, we discussed this, I think Katie was here. We discussed it, but unfortunately, Dana was unavailable, or we weren't able to have that university committee meeting where to hear from Dana whether or not what we need to do about this committee in view of the new administration policy or whatever. The second one is, other thing we need to know, maybe Dana can help understand, but the federal government sent a letter or an injunction to all entities like public schools, universities, to commit that they're following the rules about DEI. So for Missouri, this year decided, instead of having an individual answers, this year decided to answer directly and to vouch for everyone else and making sure we do it. So we just need to understand this new world we live in, whether or not we can change the name of the committee and then and see what we can do. So I don't know.
First of all, DEI is not the same as language. We have freedom of speech. We can even say really offensive things. I don't think DEI falls into that basket. That's me. So we don't have to change the name of the committee. Now, question of, do you want to have that? Because if we put a target on your back,
Right.
that conversation is something different than saying we're banned from using that phrase or that title. So that's one. The other is discrimination is still not allowed in this country, so you can't discriminate against anyone, regardless of their gender, how they identify, their race, religion, all the things are still not allowed. And so you need to make sure you have protected, that you are protecting people's rights not to be discriminated against. I think what you're hearing, the language that you're hearing is this push about systemic racism or systemic issues, or that structures are inherently racist, or some ism, racist, genderist, whatever. And so they want to, so the bigger issue is your DEI program pushing that in some way, that agenda of systemic racism or systemic biases? Are you teaching implicit bias, those kind of things? That's where the rubber meets the road. But so I mean, there are questions I would have for the committee of what they're doing specifically at this point. But if the school's goals are to make sure that the school is available to all the children of Kansas City, making efforts to reach out to all the kids in Kansas City, is fine. If you are doing it for, if you're only focusing on one type of student, that may be the problem. So you need to be able to show that it's universality in your approach. That's where people are going to get in trouble, and they are looking at what I would call, you're nodding and winking and doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. So it's just making sure what you're doing is inclusive of everybody, and that it's not based on this notion of systemic racism or systemic issues, that everything is inherently biased. If those are part of that committee, then those might need to be looked at simply because you don't want to have a target on your back. And people are asking questions. But is it illegal? Absolutely not.
I get a lot of funding from the government for research, and I received a message today explicitly saying I will not be considered for funding if I am pursuing anything DEI related, or if I talk about gender, it only can be sex, male, female.
Yes.
So is that very different than what the Department of Education is experiencing? Because I mean, it is very explicit. We will not fund you unless you agree to not be doing any of this.
So again, I don't know that what you're saying is any different, except that the new administration saying you can't say diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's absolutely what they're saying. They have no legal right to do that. They can't ban language. They can't tell you what. If you name your 3 kids diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're not going to jail for that. You have the right.
Jail and don't think
When I get my
right, that's true. But You have to say either you will not do this or you will not do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
there's a difference between saying the phrase and doing what they deem diversity, equity, and inclusion include. And that's where the diversion comes, because let's say you're going all the way another way with it. Like you're supporting Nazi-driven agenda items, and you call that DEI. What DEI is doing is not what you would expect DEI to represent. So it is not that they presume that if you have this title, you're doing this set of things, and they're telling you all the things that you can't do under it. The things that they're talking about is this issue of talking about that you're recognizing other identities of the gender, that there's systemic racism, there's systemic biases, that you're teaching implicit bias, critical race theory. All of those things are things that they're saying you cannot do because it's biased against this group of people. And so, again, I don't think people have focused on the term DEI because they think it represents a set of values. But you can call something DEI and it is completely different. It could be a segregationist, pre-1954, all white, no black, no brown, no nothing. And you could call it DEI and you could say, but that's not what I'm doing. So I tell people, just be careful and just know, nobody can tell you what you can call a program or what you can say. It's not banned. What they're trying to say is, when we hear those three letters, we're presuming you're doing this set of things. If you can show that, sure, we're using the letters, but here's what our program says, it's an uphill fight, admit it. And that's why I said, let's not look at it from the standpoint of, we're afraid to call our program DEI. Let's look at it from a decision-making process that is, what do we want to call our program? And and here's the thing, you can change your program name to, we don't like anything that doesn't look like us, and still doing all the same work under DEI, and you would still be, in their mind's eye, viable. So it's a combination of, what are you calling it, and what are you doing?
And so what you're calling is not so substantial, but what you're doing is what's critical.
Exactly.
And can get your funding.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think.
Are we working with an administration who's gonna go beyond the DEI part? I think that's the scary part of it. I think a lot of them are stopping at, they see diversity, equity, inclusion. I don't think a part of their analysis deeply is coming into what are you actually doing. I think a lot of their analysis is stopping at, I see these words, that's enough for us. So I think you might want to really think
I think what
that
they're saying,
through.
that even if we change the word to something more innocuous, if we still have the policy underneath,
I agree with that too. No, I certainly agree with that. If you call it something else, but you're still doing the work, they're looking at it. But I'm saying, if you keep that phrase, they are definitely looking at it, and they're not going to follow they're not going to follow the rest of the analysis.
This is not a deep thought out thing. They are looking for words and you're getting canceled. I know people who are.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
We have
Absolutely,
changed
that's
quite a
why
bit.
you have to figure out which hill you're gonna die on.
Yeah.
Because some of these same universities are fighting, saying, you can't tell us, we can't call our program this. I'm not saying we need to be those people. I just don't want us to be just like, running down armor, screaming because we have DEI. I think we need to be a little more thoughtful and not so reactive. And make sure that the long-term policies and goals of the school are still being met. And how do we articulate that in a way that doesn't create others?
From a practical standpoint, I think in the past we talked about how, in order to reflect the racial division of the city, we want to have a special outreach effort towards minorities. Would that be?
That would raise people's eyebrows.
Yes, it would.
Because apparently they don't care that your school reflects the community it serves.
Yeah.
But if you're saying we want to make sure every student knows that we're here and we welcome them, that's a different. You're still, you're still reaching out to all the students. So when you just say, we're gonna go after students that eat cranberries, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I definitely think that, I do think as a member of the committee that I feel like it would save us a lot of English and uncomfortable conversations if we would rebrand ourselves.
Yeah.
And we would recommit our mission as the committee, and then make sure it's in alignment with the mission of the school, of the district as a whole, and making sure that creating spaces where our students feel valued, seen, and heard should always be the mission. I just feel like it seems so simple, but we really do have to pull out the thesaurus, do some word sniffing, and recommit to our mission in regards to our students, in regards to our teachers, and our district, and just use different words. I mean, it's a sad truth, but even part of the DEI consortium within the city, we literally have words we decided we're not using anymore. Because there's other words. There's a whole huge thesaurus we can use that mean the same thing, but because that simple acronym is absolutely a target, and because we're in this amazing district, and we do have a lot of diversity, we also have a lot of families that before we started having this conversation, they were agitated by the fact that we were trying to target certain school districts, and we know that that's something that we're working on. So there was a time in which Academy Lafayette was a dominantly white district, and there were a lot of people who were very pleased with that. So with that being said, I just think we have to do the work, and we have to rebrand ourselves, remark ourselves, and stay committed to the mission.
I've used my Jay's thesaurus more in the last 90 days than I have in the last 20 years.
You say urban without saying.
I went 20 years worth of dust. But yeah, and it's not only, it's the rebrand, it's the being thoughtful and making sure that no one can come back and say, it's a horse.
Yeah.
You're calling it something else, but we see what this horse is. So, but you all can do it. Yeah. People are doing it all over.
Workshopping.
People in upper and higher ed, or in health services.
They're doing it too. I mean, we're changing words and doing what we still feel are passionate about, but.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
I just feel like keeping a title that may bring a lot of.
Yes.
Keeping the work and changing the title that these people are looking for simple words and simple lists.
People.
It makes more sense to kind of avoid that.
Because the opposite would be exclusion. We're gonna exclude, there's no way, I mean, it makes no sense. We're gonna have to just take the drive.
God, just no more people.
Thank you for it.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God, we said that's not what's happening to people here.
President's report, we'll talk about sub-recognition, academic program, HI and IC protocol, and the operation. So this is the recognition from Jerry, all these teachers, Yao Michael, Caroline Cox, Swat Balbu, Edward Zambimana, Yaman Jack, Nadine Dinoki, Martin Cuevi, Sabrin Giraldo, Yvette Nyafuna, Madame Bade, and Clarence Bosu. Thank you, thank to all our great teachers for the support and the mediation they provide to our students. So those are the teachers support academic support program for tutoring. Awesome. We have an after school program to teach the kids. They do it here too, do it everywhere, and then we also provide buses for these kids. For Oak is recognizing Keleka, the first grade teacher. Keleka has shown great dedication to improving the teaching and classroom management. Since joining AL, she differentiates lessons, communicates effectively with parents, and creates engaging hands-on activities. Despite a challenging group, she tirelessly supports her students, fostering both academic and emotional growth. organized and collaborative. She shares her technique, her tech expertise, supervises diligently, and upholds AL values with professionalism. I'm fortunate to have her at school.
Awesome.
And Shelby Thomas for honor recognition. He's our new librarian. He arrived this year. I'm pleased to recognize our now full-time librarian, Shelby Thomas. He's an excellent resource for both our middle and high schools and has shown his commitment to improving the quality of library services provided to staff and students. It is amazing the positive impact he's already having in our building. He's an excellent addition to our team. Good.
Great.
And for leadership recognition, we're recognizing our old principal, Jean-Claude Diatra, for organizing another successful STEAM night with Dr. Z at Rutgers University. She does it every year, it's amazing, great job, Jean-Claude. Very popular this year, a lot of more people.
Yeah, that's great.
More, yeah. Our Vice Principal, Dr. Warner, for completing and submitting the renewal of the Laval Park Education. It's part of our relationship with the French government, and this is a 3-year process. Every 3 years we renew it. It allows to get also the funding for interns sometimes, and also the French embassy sponsors our 7 interns. So 7 interns from the French embassy, 7 interns from Amity. Our development director, Alison Stewart, and Holly Virgil for the IEP soiree, and also all the Musketeer March and everything.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Last but not
Got a
least,
great team.
Great team. Grand merci to the whole board committee, Judge Booth, Jeremy Foster, Michelle Markham, Michaela Stevenson, Alison Stewart, Alex Laskar. We met almost every week, and they did a great job. Mobilizing the community and making sure the votes. Thank you again very much. So for HR and ICHR, hiring is going on 9 sign already, K5 and 4 sign for middle and high school. It's becoming, this year has been much more, less painful. We have more people accepting, many more, and I think, again, raising the salary has been extremely helpful. And I've had many teachers who approach me or send me emails thanking that the board raised the salary. With the advice of our legal council, we developed the IC protocol. I put it there. It is document like this. This is telling our front office and our administration how to handle a visit from the immigration service. It's just an information, it's just protocol, it's not part of our policy, just to make sure that everybody knows exactly what to do when we receive a visit from immigration. So that's what we've done.
So when they come, they identify themselves?
Yeah, we do. They need to identify themselves, because otherwise we don't know. Anybody can come and say, but in the school, yeah, they have to identify themselves and then make a copy of their ID, if possible.
And nobody has actually come, like there is talk that they might, but nobody has shown up. I don't know of any schools in Kansas City that have actually had IC.
No.
There's a lot of talk about it.
I don't think so. Yeah. So that's
Guadalupe had some folks show up.
When did that happen? Recently?
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was saying toward the beginning.
in the school.
Big deal. Somebody called me about it. I don't really work for them, but somebody called me about it and said that they had somebody show up, but beyond, like, it didn't turn into a whole thing. So I don't know if they showed up and they didn't have the documentation, or they showed up and didn't, but they did, my understanding is they showed up and wanted to play at some point.
So we developed it and it's been shared with admin, the front office, building managers, the principal and vice principal, because there will be those people to deal with this situation if it happens. At this point, we have 93% of our teachers have signed the agreement to return for next year. I mean, yes, but again, until I always said, it's September, you know who you are. The worst leaving is somebody leave at the end of July.
Yeah.
And every year we will have it. Every year we have somebody leaving at the end of July. But it's on track for our goals of retention, teacher retention. So we have 3 teachers who will be retiring next year. So also 3 teachers. Teacher visas are being successfully filed and processed in a timely manner. I'm talking about the teachers we have going from J1 to H1B and then renewing H1B. So far, we haven't seen any issue with immigration. Now, that's one part of it. So teachers will have to go back to their own country to get a visa. We don't have it at this point. Any of our teachers needing to go back. But if they go back, there have been some concern from the lawyer saying that she shared with us a whole document about concern about if you're going to get visas again, it can be challenging. So some of our teachers have decided not to go this summer.
And some of your teachers have their families, children at home too, right?
We have only one case where the teacher was planning and he even bought a flight ticket because he had all the paperwork for H1B to go and travel with his family.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but he may not be able to go and then ask the family to go to, they already had a visa appointment, everything set up. So he may not be going and then ask the family to go through the process. So
he might not bring his family here?
We don't know yet because it will all depend on the embassy. But remember, few weeks ago there have been rumors about restriction for some countries. We have the red country where visa they will not allow any immigration. We don't have any. We have maybe 1 teacher or 2 from one of those countries. And we have the orange country and we have the yellow one. So depending on where you are, you may have some more scrutiny for coming here. So for even getting back here is challenging. But even for new teachers, we have one new teacher we hired had to change his H1B to come to AL, and it went smoothly. At the immigration part, I haven't seen any delay or issues. Now, the embassy part, if you're going back somewhere or getting into the country, that's where we may have some challenges.
What about interns?
Interns, again, at this point, we haven't heard any issue with J1 and so on. So interns, we don't know yet. Until what we try to do is recruit early so that they can have an appointment and so on. Another concern shared by our immigration advisor, our immigration legal counsel, was that, no, it's not her, but one of our J1 sponsors saying that because administration is diminishing the staff at the embassies and so on, the process of getting a visa may take long. So that's another issue that we may be facing. Okay, next on academic report, we did a school improvement day on the 24th, and we focused on training for positive behavior system and community practice like lesson studies. We need to understand, just to share with you that we have a PD committee composed of teachers mainly, admin, and myself, and that's the committee that planned for this school improvement. Because remember that 2 years ago, what we want is more teacher involvement in the decision of training. So that's what we're doing, and it's part of the of PD that teachers thought that was important for them. STEAM night was a very successful one again at Rockers Convocation Center, great success. IBDP exhibit on April 3rd with Credit Card. I mean, I think it's over now. That's full, no? The art
Is it
is,
still
was, when was
over?
the last time? Well, the last day was Friday, you know? The art exhibit. below
Oh, yes, it was Friday.
there. Okay.
Oh,
Otherwise, you can go and visit the great artist exhibition. It was great. And then 44 Parent Coffee is, would be next week.
and I think, isn't the middle school art exhibition coming up?
Yeah, it's
Well,
coming.
yeah, good enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's good. Yeah.
So for the operation, as you know, we bought that property, we're working on the fence and gate installation for our bus barns beginning April 14th. The new front door have been installed and alarm system installed also at the building. The new bus board arriving today, April 14th. So, and the transportation had their yearly highway patrol inspection. In March, J and Oak had their yearly March delivery.
I love it. Everything that this school handles, from visas to mulch, you know? It's just-
Everything in between.
Yeah.
So we painted the library. Remember, we had some damage with the leak at the library at Oak. We've done repainted, health inspection passed at our location. Boiler pipe replaced and J roof also patched. So we are thinking of starting very quickly. After our meeting on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we have a meeting at the district about the bond, and with the project manager, we will make sure that we follow the process of request for proposal and so on, and start the process for, I also asked Rick to start the request for proposal for the cherry roof, so that if we can do them both at the same time, would be great. One thing though, is not here, but is part of the academic report, is we had a post-record meeting on Thursday, and one of the concerns raised by the students was the timing. Talking about our students, high school. The problem we have is, remember, Arma starts at 8:30, and that's 4 o'clock. But students who are in the career program, with manual tech center, they start at 7 o'clock. Which means they have a 1 hour and a half longer day, and they're really tired of having a long day. So, of course, we provide a bus for them to bring them here, but that's one of the issues we face. Second issue we face is the after-school sports. We realize that they have been leaving early and early because the bus that's driving them to the competition is the same one coming back to pick up cheering kids, old kids, at 3 o'clock. So what we decided is to try to rent a first student bus as opposed to using our buses to do that. For sports.
Just for the meet, just for the.
Just for the meet. So, but still, of course, they lose 1 hour of instruction if they do it. So it's a concern for teachers, it's a concern for students too, and they want to change the time. I'm saying we're doing it. They're asking. I'm just saying, I'm not saying we're doing it. I'm here to inform the board of what they say and because of implication. I'm not saying we're changing it again. Now, we're looking to change, not change, but solutions to that, because in manual tech we cannot change it, and they have the sensation that, according to one of the students, they're not really, we don't pay too much attention to that. And we need to see how to address that issue. So.
It's a long day.
It's a long day. And just sharing with you the concern we have. I asked Rick 2 months ago, to see how many kids are siblings ride the bus between Oak and Cherry, Cherry and Arma, and see if we can cut things now. Also, I asked few of the charter schools that have K-12, whether or not all the kids ride the same buses. University Academy said, yes,
I mean, the young and the older kids?
yes, all of them want same buses. And told me also, that's what rural district do anyway. They have to do it. If you're a small rural school district, you can have
All ages.
bus for all ages, and we have spread out there. So it might be one of the solutions we looked into, but even with that, we don't know if we have the buses to do it at the same time, to make sure that we have them together to make sure we solve the issue. But I just wanted to.
Sorry, who's saying that the schools should start early? Is it the teachers or saying that? I don't know. I didn't understand. Who's giving you that feedback?
Students.
They should start earlier?
This is the high school students.
Oh, the high school students, not the middle school.
No, because the high school students, the Conseil d'école, we have the president of the student council is member of the Conseil d'école.
Okay.
So they put it on the agenda and share it with us. And some of the parents and the Conseil were kind of concerned that kids were losing this much instruction time.
That's for the high school.
They're also asleep at 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think it's a legitimate concern. So, kids who meet and they do, there's a period of time where for a few weeks in a row, they lose afternoons. So I think that is a legitimate concern. I'm hoping we can it would be great to find a solution for those kids that does not involve changes all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe just make them classes. I mean, you could think creatively because it's important. But I think the feedback I have is about the start time for the middle schoolers is overwhelmingly positive in terms of the impact it has on the health of the kids.
Middle school, they like it.
What's that?
I think the middle school likes it.
Yeah.
High school, the problem is high school is, second thing is, some of the schools, kids have jobs after school too. So, high school is a completely different animal. So, they have jobs, some after schools, so.
And in bigger districts, high schools usually
They have
start
that,
earlier.
They do.
Yeah. But is that good for even the older kids to start at 7:30? I mean, I understand that you have pressure to have a job, but is there like scientific evidence that 14, 15-year-old kids should be getting up at 6 a.m.?
Well, should they be on their phone 10 hours a day too? Yeah.
but the research does seem to be clear. They should not start school at 7:20, right? Like, yes, sports is it, like, everything else is an issue, but for just their health.
And their academic
their
performance,
sleep, right,
like how much they get my attention because they're not sleeping the first 2 hours of class.
So it's a very complicated decision.
Yeah, because then the ones that go to manual tech don't really have the option to sleep in because they have to be there at 7.
And so the manual tech, they have to stay till the end of the school day, they can't leave.
No, because they're joining class, and the problem there's a small gap. When they come, they have to join other classes. Because they don't have, otherwise we'll be having the one class for them all the time, which is an issue. Good. I think I'm done. I just when I said I promised the Conseil that I'm going to inform the board about this issue, so you know what's going on.
And I think it's important to listen to students.
Yes, it is.
I said it's important to listen to students, and so I like that they have a place to voice their concerns. I'm worried about their concerns.
All right, I just have a couple things. The high school graduation is Tuesday, May 13th, 7 p.m. It's our second graduating class. It's at the Scottish Rite Temple, which is right at beautiful at Linwood and Paseo, yeah. So if as many of you can attend as possible, that would be great. Is there going to be any type of 8th grade end of immersion?
At this point, no, but I have received email from parents requesting to. I've received the email from parents requesting that.
Did you say 8th grade graduation?
7 o'clock.
I think when we started the high school, there was no longer the capacity to do 8th grade in high school, which has made a lot of kids
Yeah,
very
because
sad,
the 8th
and
grade,
parents.
even if they're going on to the high school, it's the end of the immersion program, you know, so it's that immersion
Gotcha.
graduation, yeah. So graduation or celebration or something, okay. And then I just wanted to give a special recognition to Mr. Bang here. His optimism and his very, very pragmatic approach to working with KCPS to even get the bond on the ballot. It's like what was happening before even, you know, most in this room were even hearing about it. And then for dedicating the time and resources so that parents were educated on the purpose of it, you know, that they were educated on the projects on this, public support of the collaboration with the district and interviews and public forums at press conferences, everything. Your leadership made a difference, so thank you. And Dana, we talked about this last November when the agreement was reached with KCPS and the charters, but you were in on this all before everything, and so I'll shout you out again for your part in getting us there. So. And then, Mr. Bang, again, I'm going to say something. There are a lot of things you do that we all don't even know that you're doing behind the scenes. You're probably laying the mulch out there, I don't know. But I want to thank you. We want to thank you for handling the visas this year, because you've taken that on and doing that for everyone. So you're like, how do I know that?
How do you know that? Yeah. Ask me that question. How do you know that?
I know everything. How's that?
I know, she knows my middle name. I don't know.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Good.
I know, it's like, ho, ho, ho. No, but awesome. Yeah, thanks for your
Like,
support.
I've done visa for years.
Yeah.
I worked with immigration lawyer for years, and one time I was in, you know, in my hometown in Senegal, and one teacher sent me an email that he was leaving. So I need to recruit a teacher from there. And I worked with a lawyer, he was in Portland. And fortunately back then, our government did a fantastic job in investing in internet. And my hometown has a high optic cyber cafe. That's where I signed the paper, I send you the paper and the cool and something. So I've done visa for years, so maybe I should be a consultant.
There you go.
I have apologize, but we received that really great report from St. Louis University. And Mr. May and I are working on, we actually, St. Louis University goes into the schools and actually visits classrooms. And what we do, I will be that person doing that, randomly selecting 3 teachers. I randomly select so that Desi cannot say I choose the very best of the teachers that are having challenges. And so we are working on a schedule of even for a tier tomorrow. But I will have 3 teachers at each of the meetings. They will be interviewed and they will be informed as to what their classroom climate is and how they interface with the kids. So when you're asked, we can say, we actually have seen those up.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Great.
Well, again, I also thank the school for the $5,000 donation for they gave $5,000 for the funding needs.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yay. All right. Sorry to say this, pursuant to the Missouri Open Meetings Law, portion of this meeting may be closed to discuss legal matters or other matters permitted by law. So I am asking for a motion to adjourn open session to go into closed session. It's a quick one to discuss real estate matters. So can I get a motion? Hold on, because I had my All right, roll call vote. We're gonna
Hold on, guys, I didn't know we were having a closed session.
Come on, it's very fast.
Give me a quick moment. All right, go ahead.
Okay, Lisa, motion. Did you, Olivier, second? Roll call vote. So Lisa, you already motioned. Nathaniel?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Michelle, yes.
Beth, yes.
Jen, yes.
Yes.
Gwen? Okay, all right, so we will take